It's time to go back. More than 70 years to discover what life was like in a camp hugely important to the Second World War. Island Farm was first built as accommodation for women working at a nearby ammunition factory. It was then used by American forces in the build-up to the D-Day landings. But it was in 1944 that it took on one of its most famous roles. Camp 198 was once home to 2,000 German prisoners of war. Only one building that was once here remains, but twice a year Hut 9 is opened up by a group of passionate volunteers.
A lot of the artefacts we've got here I've dug up over the last 25, 30 years, from the clay balls to bits of bed frame to light switches. As a 12-year-old boy, they were my treasure. They're still my treasure now when I'm 46. They've travelled with me in every house I've lived in, and now I've returned them back to Hut 9 so other people can see them.
This is an example of a lower ranking soldier's room. So you've got a 3-bunk bed, possibly up to 9 guys sleeping in there.
And what have the conditions been like in there?
Not bad, not bad. Cosy with 9 guys, but they had a central heating pipe running through all of them, so in the winter they wouldn't have been too bad. But in the summer, you can imagine it being a bit smelly. There was no deodorants back then. 9 guys for wool uniforms. Summertime wouldn't be too nice in here.
The German officers' artwork left on the walls here gives us a glimpse into what they missed from home. But it was also a distraction, because from the moment they moved into Camp 198, they were plotting their escape. On the night of the 10th of March 1945, with the distraction of a singing concert, they descended into a tunnel built under a bed. This is a recreation of the room in Hut 9 where the German prisoners of war began their escape. They showed real ingenuity in their plans. The clay that was dug out from the tunnel was hidden behind a false wall. The tunnel structure propped up with bits of wood stolen from their bunk beds, and the ventilation provided in the tunnel through a series of condensed milk cans stuck together. Within a week, all 70 prisoners of war had been recaptured, but it has its place in history as the largest German POW escape in the UK. The tunnel has been opened up twice and recently examined for scientific research. We now know that it only went down 4 or 5 feet below Hut 9 before burrowing out a further 30 feet to the other side of the perimeter fence.
Their escape tunnel came out in his field, and they were concerned that he was going to drive over the tunnel and the sheer weight of the tractor was going to cause it to collapse and give the game away.
Brett Exton is one of only a handful of people who've been able to see inside the tunnel since it was concreted up and concealed.
This was just the final piece of the jigsaw that for me was just exhilarating, going somewhere that, perhaps people hadn't been since 1945. If you were the person who was escaping, you might not have been the person who actually dug the tunnel out. So you might be going through that tunnel for the first ever time. So you think, well, what's going to be on the other side of it? I saw the tunnel as well in broad daylight. Well, they would have been going through at night time, the fear as well of being, discovered and so forth. So they would have had a massive adrenaline rush.
After the escape was foiled, Island Farm had another reinvention. It became Special Camp 11, a prison for some of Hitler's most senior officers before they faced war trials. The varied history of this site makes it a growing attraction. The twice-a-year open days are already highly subscribed for the next year.
This is the first entrance, and it's fabulous. It's such a shame that everything else has been dismantled and got rid of. This is part of our history when all said and done.
It really is so very, very interesting, especially for children of all ages.
Looking ahead, the Hut 9 Preservation Group hope to secure funding to restore this site, keeping it open and the story of the Great Welsh Escape alive for future generations.